Good afternoon. Today I'm going to introduce you to a new series that we're calling 5-Minute Crafts, and that is a direct ripoff of another internet sensation, also called 5-Minute Crafts, that is all about creating products of absolutely no value with tools and materials that cost a fortune. We're interested in our series in the very simple things that you might need to do around the house and the ways that you might be able to solve these problems with simple tools and materials. We're going to give you 3 options today to resolving a very common problem. Let's say I have this clean yellow board and it has a spot on it. Somebody has accidentally spilled, maybe even they spilled this on purpose, and we want to be able to take care of that. And we could just paint over it. We could use spray or we could use brush paint, but that's messy. It takes, several types of tools. We might need rollers and brushes, and we'd even need, if this board was up on the eave there, for example, we'd need a ladder to go up and fix that. So today we're going to suppose that you've taken this down from the eave, for which you did need a ladder, of course, but now we're at this stage and we're ready to take care of this problem. Okay, our first technique to deal with this little spot here is going to involve using a sponge. Now we could use a full-size kitchen sponge like this, but you can see it's a very small spot, really big, clumsy sponge, and so we're going to make what we'll call a mini sponge. And we get out, before we use our sharp tool, safety first, we're going to put on our gloves. And just to be extra safe, I'll use both gloves. We'll take our edge tool, and you could use a razor blade. If you didn't have a razor blade, you could use scissors. We have those available. You could even use a machete if you were really skillful, but we're not. So we're going to go with the razor blade, and we're going to make 2 cuts. One like this. No, 3 cuts. One like that, and then trim it off. There we go. Okay, so we've got a mini sponge, and then I'm going to attack this little spot with this little sponge. Okay, so that's our first technique, is the mini sponge. Okay, so if you spilled on the corner, this would be a really effective technique. Go. Okay, so we're going to need another technique, as we got a pretty mediocre result with the mini sponge. So another approach to do this, I hit on this when I was just walking around the office, and I noticed that I had some yellow copy paper that's a pretty good match for the yellow of the board. So we're going to use this to make a little patch. So our technique there is you need to have some kind of a round template, and we'll take a marker pen, and here's our target area. That's where the spot is. And use the marker pen to make a clean circle. This is our target area. Okay, that's where we want the patch, and then use the same template on a piece of clean, it has to be very clean, unmarked yellow copy paper. Hold on. Here. Okay. There's our marks. Don't forget to cap this. And then we could use this big scissors, but again, right sizing is an important concept, so we're going to use the smaller scissors to cut this out. And this, we may, in post, we may speed this up. Okay. So right now we're going to have to speed. Clean around. Mark. Okay. And then we're going to just match this up. You probably guessed it. We're going to match it up with the spot that we've made there. So we're going to use glue, a little bit of glue, straight out of the. And then we'll cap this up for the next episode where we talk about how to deal with that. And then I'm going to use a glue brush to make that go right edge to edge, because it won't stick very well if you're just in the middle. And then we take the patch we just made and fix it down. This black line here, we don't want that to show. So we're going to put that side down and press it into place. And that's a much better job. You can see almost all of this ugly blemish has been completely covered over with the almost yellow piece of copying paper. That's number 2. Okay,
Go.
Okay, so we're now going to try a third technique because the mini sponge, it seemed clever, but it didn't do a very good job. And the second approach was much more satisfying, but the color match is poor. So the question we ask ourselves is, how can we get this exact color without going to the paint store and looking for it? So we're going to make another spot. Let's just say someone accidentally spilled this stuff on here. And this, by the way, this is called Black 2.0. This is the worst possible case. We want you to know that a spot can't get worse than this. Okay, so we've got this blemish again, and the question is how we can get a clean match to the color. And what we've done is we've gone and found an identical board that's also painted this color. So we're going to use that as a source for the material that we need, and we'll do it by, well, actually, here, let's use our pen again and indicate where we're going to cut into our source board. And we're going to take just a sharp rap with your chisel, and you're going to go right angles every single time, which will give you a square. Of course. Okay, so now we've got the patch defined, and we're going to use the chisel. Again, don't forget the safety, the gloves. And we're going to use our chisel to take that patch out. Perfect. Look at that. Okay. So now we want to make the application here over our spot. And we saw before the glue didn't work very well. So we're going to need to have a more secure fastener. So our approach to this involves, we're going to use a power tool now. So let's get our drill and we put a pilot hole through here. Now we're going to do the slow-mo here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the slow-mo is
So I'm going to show you in slow motion. So we're going to slow down the video. Okay. And then we're going to take a screw. And it doesn't matter really very much. Any kind of screw will do. This one looks pretty good. And I'll try to slide it into that pilot hole. We have to swap out bits and just sink that right down. Okay, luckily we didn't go through the board. Okay, that, you could call that a completed job, but you'll notice that it's not in really solid, so we need to do a better job. Like if you didn't have a power drill with, you might use nails. So I'm going to show you how to do a nail. I'm going to use a little tiny nail. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, so I think this has been helpful, and you can see that it took probably considerably less than 5 minutes to do this, even though the video is probably running to about 8 by now. So we're going to review the techniques. We tried the mini sponge initially. We weren't too crazy about the quality. Our second approach was to find the yellow paper, the copy paper, and make a patch. Now this is the first time we did it on the first attempt at a video like this. You can see we did a pretty crappy job there, and this is a little bit better. And then probably the gold standard for this approach is to have made the cut out of a similar, actually identical board, and use that material to attach here. And we could either use a screw or we could use a nail. I could have used the glue in the first place. And this board is like new. So, thank you for your attention, and don't forget, our next episode, 407, is going to be about what to do when you can't get the glue out of the box.